Hi guys, I'm Mar, and today I cannot believe we're filming this video. I'm sorry, I just can't. Somebody pinch me, somebody slap me, because the day is finally here. I cannot believe it, but finally I get to introduce to you guys our Too Faced collab. Oh my god, I cannot believe I'm holding this right now in my hands. Our Too Faced Amor Caliente palette. You guys, this is surreal. We have been working on this palette for such a long time, and I've been keeping the secret for so long. I just cannot believe it's finally out and I get to introduce it to you guys. If you guys watched my documentary or you follow me on Instagram, then you might know a thing or two about the palette, but today I'm gonna get real into it, real in depth. I'm gonna tell you guys everything, and I'm so excited because this is just my baby. I mean, Burrito, you got a little sister now. So this palette is actually available right now, and you guys can go get it already on TooFaced.com. It will be available at ULTA and also ULTA in stores and also SEPHORA.com. It's gonna be available on different dates, so I'm gonna leave the dates in the description box, but if you guys want to get it like right now, it is available right this minute on TooFaced.com. And I really want to say a big thank you to everyone at Too Faced. You guys might be like, but why does she have a palette? I mean, she's not like the biggest creator, she's not like the most well-known creator. I mean, like, why? And Too Faced is like the best brand ever, so why? And honestly, I can't answer my question. I've been asking myself that. I'm just grateful for this opportunity because this has been amazing. And as a Latina and as an immigrant, this means so much to me. And in my documentary, I explained a lot better why it means so much to me. But this is just incredible. I'm just so grateful to everyone at Too Faced for giving somebody like me this opportunity, because I feel that this not only means a lot to me personally, but I feel that it means a lot to everyone in my community. So I'm just really grateful. So thank you, everyone at Too Faced. Really, thank you so much. So for this palette, it does have my name on it. It says Mariale in really big sparkly pink letters, and that's a whole story, you guys. I mean, that's like a whole story for another time, but I'm a really shy person, so having this on here is kind of a lot to me. But Jared, the Too Faced co-founder, he was just like, you have to put your name on it, because I was like, let's just put the name, let's just put Amor Caliente, because that's what I decided to name it. And I really wanted this palette to be very Latin. I wanted it to, of course, have all of my roots and everything that I am in there, and I wanted other people to see themselves reflected in this palette. So there's also a little picture of me in the back, which, I mean, that was also a thing. I was like, let's not put a picture there either, and they were like, but you should. Throughout this process, honestly, I learned a lot, including I gotta work on myself, but hey. So when you open it, the box looks exactly like the palette, and I love that the box has like this sort of like, you can still feel texture on it, which is awesome, and the palette has that same texture, which is so cool. And then you get this little kind of guide, and it tells you how to create this look. This look was done by the wonderful Elise. I mean, this is one of my favorite makeup looks ever. I've tried to recreate it. I'm not gonna lie, I can't get it right. Elise is just an angel, and she's so wonderful with makeup. She's an artist. But we tried, but I don't think I'll ever look like this again, ever in my life. And then Jared and I both left little messages in the back, which you guys will read when you get your palettes. And then the actual palette. I mean, it's so pretty, you guys. I love her so much. I look at her and I'm just like, wow, like, wow. Just when she's on my vanity, she just stands out. I mean, she's shiny. She's there like, here I am, girl, ready for your makeup. Honestly, she's so beautiful. I even went to my friend's house and she had a couple of these, and she just had them like around her living room, and I was like, like my eye went there, because she's just so beautiful. She just pops, you know? And when I started working on this palette, I knew what I wanted for the palette. So I wanted it to be a palette that you could create really fun looks with, but also that you could do really easy things with, because I love makeup. I mean, I'm not a makeup artist, but I do love makeup, and I love talking about products and wearing products. So I wanted something that just the average makeup wearer could wear. I didn't want a palette that would be intimidating, but I also wanted a palette that somebody who loved makeup like me could also create really fun looks with. So that's why this palette goes from kind of like chill but fun all the way over to like, ooh, we feisty, we fiery. And it's a very warm palette, which I really wanted. I mean, I feel like warm palettes are something that has been done before. I mean, there's like basically every color story that has been done before, but this in particular particular, this combination was something that I could never find because I always loved like the really warm browns, the oranges, and the bronzy shades. But whenever I found those in a palette, I could never find them kind of mixed with something that was like more like chill. Something that I could just take with me maybe on vacation and just have that be my one palette. I would either have to take one really warm palette and then something else that was neutral, or one really big, like large, like rainbow palette, which obviously wasn't as convenient. So for me, I mean, I've been using this palette for a while and I really haven't had to reach for something else because these are just the shades that I gravitate towards. So I can create a look that's just kind of like basic and just for every day, or I can create something that's also like for the daytime, but more like with a pinkish type of feel, or I can just do something that's a little bit more like out there with this side of the palette, or I could just mix them all up and just do something that's really cool. And when we were designing this palette, something we did on purpose was to create kind of like quads. So these 4 shades work together. If you really don't want to think about how to pair the shades, these 4 go together, these 4 go together, and then these 4 also do if you want to create something, you know, just like this is like the more like funky side. So that's why I feel that this works for every sort of makeup wear. This side is just like easy, and then this one, honestly, it's also very easy. One of my favorite shades is Santa Monica, which is like that. This is how my friend described it, and I honestly feel it's the best way to describe it, which is like when you have like 2 minutes, 1 finger, what shade are you gonna reach into? Santa Monica, because it gives you color and you could just blend it out really fast and it looks really good. But you could just do it with your finger like super easy. And then these are what I feel gives the palette personality. I mean, I love all of them though. I can't say like this is my favorite or this because they're all my favorite for different reasons. I love them all, and I'm so grateful that this palette is a reality. It means so much to me. So I'm gonna go into all the shades. I'm gonna explain them for you guys. Oh, and also the mirror. I love this mirror. It's so big. I can just do my whole face with the mirror and it's perfect. And I love that it has like these little hearts because I just feel it makes it like super cute. I just feel it's really nice to look at, but also functional, you know? Beauty and brains. Now I'm like, wow, I should have named one of the shades that. I'm gonna start with Love Me, and Love Me is just kind of like this basic nude shade. And of course, nudes are gonna depend on every person, but Love Me, I wanted to make it so it would be something where you could really just reach into and you could maybe use as a highlight, or you can use as an all over color. And fun fact, there's a Love Me, and there used to be a shade that was gonna be called Do Me because Amor Caliente, so like Love Me and Do Me, but legal did not let me do that. All right, so this next shade is Donut, and Donut I feel is one of my favorite shades, and this was actually one of the shades that was really hard to get right. So here it just looks like some shimmer or something, but when you actually try it out, look at that. It's literally like a glazed donut. That's why I named it donut. Also, I just wanted to name some of the things like food because I feel food is very close to my heart. But this, I wanted it to be like a very light shimmer. This is not supposed to be a really pigmented shadow. It's supposed to be more like something where you could just add on really quickly and you just give yourself like a bit of a shimmer. I also love that you can add this on top of basically any matte shadow and it'll give it a shimmer without changing the color too much because it's not this super pigmented shadow. Honestly, I love Donut, and I usually use it on my inner corner and it looks amazing. I just love it so much, and it was really hard to get. This was one of those shades that I was like, okay, I really want. From the beginning, when we started doing this palette, I was like, I want this shade because I wanted this palette to be something that you could just wear really easily. And I feel that when I want something like some sort of makeup, I just put on shimmer and I'm done. I'm just like, okay, shimmer and then a crease and it's done. It looks cute. So Donut, one of my favorites, but I'll be saying that for like every shade. So next up is Chancla. And Chancla, oh my god. I did not expect for you guys to be so excited about that name. Chancla was actually one of the first shade names that I knew I really wanted because I was just like, what's more Latino than a chancla? I mean, we've all been slapped with one. I mean, literally grandma grabs a chancla and she's like, burrito, stop! And he stops. But chancla is actually not just a regular shadow. It's a pressed glitter. So you have to be really gentle with it so it'll swipe on really smoothly. And this was one of the shadows that I was like, I need a pressed glitter because this formula that Too Faced does is actually a somewhat new formula. And I told them I really wanted this in my palette because I love it. I feel like you just add that on to any look and it looks amazing. It's just like, it makes it pop and it looks like you really took your time doing your makeup when you just did it really fast. And spoiler alert, that's how I like to do my makeup. And at first they were like, well, we gotta see because it's a really expensive formula, so we gotta figure this out. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if that affected the price of the palette, but but this formula was something that I knew I needed because I love this formula so much. You definitely need to apply it with your finger, and you need to do it gentle, because if you do it really hard, you will not get like any pickup on your finger. This is one of those cases where less is definitely more. And this is the most glamorous of the shades, and then the name is chancla. I know that probably sounds weird to you guys, but I just thought that would be so hilarious. I was like, I gotta do it. I mean, how could I not do it? So yeah, that's how chancla was born. Next up, we have chica, and chica is this really warm brown, and this one's just a matte brown, which I had to put into my palette because I was like, okay, I need a brown that I can use on my crease, but getting this warm brown was so difficult. And it wasn't difficult because it was difficult for them to do. It was just difficult because for some reason I always struggle finding a warm brown that's like the right shade of brown and the right level of warmth. And to me, this is the perfect one. I mean, for me, I understand that for everyone it's not perfect, but to me it's absolute perfection, so I'm so happy with this brown. Next up, we got Pantera, which is like this bronze. And Pantera, honestly, it's such a beautiful shade. I mean, look how this just glides on. It's this beautiful bronze that's just, oh my god, those. Technically, Pantera is part of the other quad, like this quad, but it goes perfectly with all of these too. Next up is Frenchie, and this is this kind of nude but pinkish matte shade. And Frenchie, it's actually Frenchie because of Burrito. So Burrito is my dog. He's a French bulldog, and I didn't want to name a shade Burrito because most people were just gonna think of food, of the food burrito, and not of my dog. So I was like, okay, Frenchie, and the shade is kind of like a pinkish, so it could be like, oh, like a French kiss or something like that. So I thought Frenchie worked. And you guys have no idea how many questions I've gotten as to why there's no shade named Burrito. I mean, so many questions. He's a celebrity, but now you know, Frenchie is in his honor. Next up, we got Santa Monica. So Santa Monica, also one of my favorite shades, and I just love how it goes on. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's just so pigmented, and it's just perfect. I love this shade so much. And it's so funny that this was literally the last shade we added. It was supposed to be a different shade, but we didn't like how the palette was looking, and then we added this, and it made the whole palette come to life. So I love Santa Monica so much. I actually named it Santa Monica because it represents where I come from in Venezuela, and it also represents where I am now in LA. So it's just like the perfect name, which is so ironic. I don't know, it's weird that I could find such a perfect name. And I got questions asking why I didn't have a shade named Venezuela also, which is my country, but I have Santa Monica because I just didn't want them to be so obvious, you know? You gotta just like, I put a lot of thought into these, you know? Then we got Senorita, and I really wanted a name that had an ñ. So I figured Senorita was probably the best name for that because it's a word that people who might not speak Spanish are already familiar with. So this is kind of like a mauve color, and I wanted this just kind of help bring the palette down, you know, like back to reality, because it has a lot of like shimmers and stuff like that. So you can't only have a palette made with shimmers if you want it to be something you can wear all the time and you can travel with and stuff. So this is one of those shades that's just like crease shades or something that's just like to bring everything together, to like connect the dots. Oh girl, and next we have Amorcito. So Amorcito was one of my original shades. It was one of those shades that I was like, okay, I need this. I mean, it has to be in this palette. And this is actually a pigment, so if you guys can see, it's super bright. I mean, it's this bright pink. And from what I understand, Too Faced had never actually done this before, where they just put a pigment into an eyeshadow palette. And I'm so grateful they gave us that opportunity, because they could have just said, oh no, we don't do that, but they were like, okay, we're gonna figure out a way how to do this. And that's why it might seem a little bit weird where it's like a pigment in the middle of all the eyeshadows, you know? And let me tell you, I have to read this, kind of like what it says in the box, because it's just like, legal, you're no fun. So the shade Amorcito is an exclusive pressed pigment designed to be used on the cheeks only. That's why technically it says Amor Caliente eyeshadow and cheek pressed pigment palette. So it might seem kind of weird where you have like this little square and that's supposed to be for your cheeks. That's because legally you have to say that. You know what I'm saying? And believe me, they tried to convince me to do a shade that was not as bright, not as pink, and I was like, no, I want my bright pink. And they let me do that. The only thing is that legal came and said, well, then we gotta call it cheek. So that's why it says cheek. But I personally don't use a cheek brush with it. You know what I mean? But who am I to tell you what to do with that? Next up is Chile. And Chile is, of course, a red. But this red, girl, it's a red shimmer. And it's just so pretty. Look at that. is just so beautiful. I mean, seriously. And you guys see how it glides on? This red was also one of the shades where I was like, I like need that red. It's not really up for discussion, you know? And I know red maybe is not one of those shades that people wear all the time where they're like, ooh, a red shade. But I feel that red looks so pretty. And this red is just so beautiful. And whenever I put it on, I'm like, oh, you're beautiful. And Chile just goes on so smoothly. I have it right now on my under eye right here in the middle. I feel like it could just give any look, even like a basic look, a real pop of color where it just looks amazing. And I love it so much. And this shade was also kind of hard for them to get right because of the shimmer. I mean, I feel like no camera will ever do it justice. It just has like the smallest little shimmers where they're like kind of pinkish. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. This is one of my favorite shades. Next we have Hot and Spicy, and this is kind of like a wine shade. And Hot and Spicy is also meant to just kind of like bring everything together, and it's just kind of like this really rich and winey, and it's completely matte as well. And then last but not least, we have Slice, and Slice is really special because it's orange, and this one actually I wanted it to be a pigment as well. So originally I wanted it to be like this crazy bright orange, but as you can see, it's still a pretty bright orange. Here you can see it, it's pretty bright, but this one is not a pigment. I was gonna make it brighter, but then we thought that this palette, I wanted it to be for an everyday user. So I didn't want the palette to be a little bit intimidating where it was like, oh, you got all these crazy colors, you got like these pigments. I was just a little bit nervous, and I didn't want anyone to feel like the palette would be hard for them to use, because honestly, we made this palette super user friendly, which is what I wanted. You know, I wanted that if you don't have a lot of time, you can still create something super awesome. And if you do have time, you can create something really, really awesome. You can play around, you can do like the most amazing looks with it. And I've been playing around with it for a long, long time. I'm still surprised. I'm still like, ooh, but these look awesome. But what if I put this here? What if I put this there? So it's really cool to do. But yeah, this palette is available right now online, and it will be available at Ulta and Sephora. I will leave everything in the description box. And I know a lot of you guys have questions about different countries, and this was supposed to be a worldwide launch, but I mean, 2020 has just not been the year, girl. So everything keeps changing as we go, because I mean, 2020. So actually this morning, we still didn't even know if the palette was going to be available in the UK, but right before filming this video, they told me that it will be available in the UK. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for supporting me. I never thought a dream like this could ever be a reality for someone like me, and seeing this come true is just amazing, and I'm just so grateful. And I honestly can't even believe it's true. This is like the coolest thing that will ever happen to me. And I just hope you guys can enjoy this palette, because I made it with so much love, and there's really so much thought and love and work that's behind it. You guys have no idea. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!